Today, I'm talking about the Xiaomi 10T Lite, a 5G phone which costs under £200. Sometimes, if you find a good deal, it'll cost you £150. So here I am telling you why I think this is the best budget phone on the market today. Let's get into it. Before we get into the actual nitty-gritty, there's a couple of things I want to talk about. My last phone review was over 6 years ago. Now, most of you would expect things to change in a 6-year period, like phone reviews to have gotten better or different in that 6-year period. But it turns out a lot of these phone review videos are still the same. A lot of beauty shots, B-rolls, which I'll be doing for you. Along with that, just people reading off the spec sheet, like how much battery life it has, what screen size it has, what processor it has, how much RAM it has, how much storage it has. And, right, I feel that's done and dusted. I don't really care about those things, and neither should you. You should really care about how the phone behaves on a day-to-day basis, which is why I don't feel that me having this phone for a day or two or a week or two is enough to give you an honest opinion on it. I've had this phone for over a month now, and I'm going to give you my opinions on how I feel this phone behaves. I've put my daily driver, which is my iOS device, away, not touched it, except for a few exceptions, and just stuck to this device. So you'll get to know what I think about it very soon. Phones are no longer an accessory. It's something that you have with you literally 24/7. You go to bed and the last thing you look at is your phone. You wake up and the first thing you look at is your phone and a very angry partner. But besides that, it's no longer an accessory that people are like, oh, you know, it'd be nice if I had a phone, or if the phone was able to do a few things. All of those few things have become a necessity for us. It's like a commodity. It isn't really a commodity. It's something that everyone needs every single day. So you expect, and I expect, my phone to do certain things. Regardless of it being iOS, being Android, I expect the phone to perform certain things and do certain things for me really well. Otherwise, I wouldn't be using it after a month. The first thing I want to talk about is the feel of the phone. People don't realize this, but first impressions mean a lot. They do. If you pick up this phone and you feel good about it, it's going to relay that information back to your brain, and you're going to have a positive inclination about this phone. Your first feeling matters a lot, and that is why the first thing that I want to talk to you about is the feel. How does this phone feel? Now, this phone is beautiful, as you can probably tell by all of these B-roll images, but it is a hefty beast. It's a brick. It is bigger than my iPhone Maxi. Maxi, I call it Maxi. It's my Maxi phone. It's bigger than that. It's got a bigger screen, bigger battery, just bigger in every way, really. So sure, when you pick it up for the first time, you might feel, oh, a heft to it, you know, but in no means does that heft make it feel uncomfortable. I mean, I have reasonably big hands, but if you're a lady, then this is definitely not the phone for you. And if you're a man with the small hands, then, I mean, I use 2 hands with this phone. It is a big phone. It isn't a one-handed phone that you can use just with one hand. But the feel of it, you know, it's got metal all around, glass on the back. It's a premium feel, and that's something I cannot disregard when it costs £200. It's great. It gives a really positive feeling to me, and it will to you if you hold it for the first time. So that's the feel. Really good, premium feeling, under £200, a little hefty, maybe a bit too hefty, but still pretty good. Next up is user experience. Next up is user experience. How do I feel when I use this phone? How will you feel if you decided to use this phone? Now, this phone is using a layer on top of stock Android called MIUI 12, MIUI 12, which is Xiaomi's own layer, just like Samsung have their own. Xiaomi have their own. And I think it's good. They have not tried to tinker with it too much. Of course, it has a lot of bells and whistles, but I've tried to stay away from them. I feel the experience as a whole is pleasing, right? I can get to what I need to get to, which are 4 or 5 apps, which I use on my phone every single day, every single hour, really easily. And that's it. I mean, what else do you need a phone for? I use YouTube, I use Slack, Chrome, my banking app, YouTube Studio, because, you know, it helps when you guys watch the video, LinkedIn, and Instagram, maybe a couple of other, WhatsApp, there you go. So these are the apps that I use on a day-to-day basis, on an hour-to-hour basis, and this phone handles those things really well. I don't game on my phone. If you are looking for a phone that games, I'm sure this will do a good job, but it's not something I do, and I don't think majority of the people do. If you're playing Candy Crush, sure, this phone will handle it really well. But if you're one of those people on YouTube that's playing an amazing game, racing game, doing X, Y, and Z, you know, just buy an actual console or PC or whatever it is and do it there, right? It will do majority of the things that you want a phone to do, which is communicate with people, take good photos of you, and communicate with people. And that's it. So as a whole, I think the user experience is good. You know, it isn't as bad as I expected it to be, considering I've come from an iOS device where literally everything has been the same for God knows how long. I was worried that I won't be able to use a phone. Took me a little while to get used to it, but once I was there, it was there. I was there, the phone was with me, it helped me go through the initial tough, difficult phases, but the user experience held up and it took me with it, which means I can use it really well. This brings me to the ease of use. How easy is this phone to use? Because that really matters. Just like first impressions matter, if this phone is easy to use, I'm going to use it more. If this video is really good, you're going to watch it more. Algorithm, same thing for my brain. If my brain enjoys using this phone and it finds it easy to use, it's going to use it more. Simple as that. So what do I make of it? Well, I like that there are a few different ways to get into the phone. Of course, there's a password, there's a Touch ID, and a fake face unlock, which works most of the times, except for in the dark. It doesn't really have the LiDAR sensors to look at my face in the dark and notice it and unlock the phone. You know, so it's a bit of a gimmick. It works most of the times, but I just have to use my fingerprint. Now, one other thing to note for me is I'm a left-handed person, which means I pick up my phone with my left hand, and oh, there isn't I have to use the phone with my right hand. Right, so sometimes it's difficult to get into the phone for me, right? If it's the dark, then I have to use my right hand. If it's light, great, the phone has a Face ID, which means I can use that. Getting in can be difficult sometimes. Once you get in, one key feature which a lot of people are bragging on about and want in phones is 120 Hz smooth scrolling speed, hertz, refresh, display. Does it matter? Well, first of all, I'm not using the 120 Hz on this phone. I'm using 60 Hz because as soon as I pumped it up to 120 Hz, the phone janked a lot. It is not capable of handling 120 Hz all the time. And the battery life hurts. So I moved it back to 60 Hz. It works for me. It doesn't hurt my eyes. I don't game on it. My WhatsApp, my Slack, my notifications, everything works as I expect it to. So yes, it has that extra 120 Hz feature, which you can use. And is it noticeable? Sometimes. But it's not something that I feel is worth me sacrificing the performance over. So there's another thing. Apart from that, it's running Android, and lo and behold, Android is incredible. For example, adding an alarm is something that I don't mind doing on this phone. Compare this to my iPhone, and sometimes I just feel like I don't want to set an alarm because how difficult it is for me to set an alarm. So, you know, the UI, user experience, all of those things, Google just sometimes do a better job of building these apps, and this app, whether it's Google or the stock one, is just better at setting alarms. So that makes me feel good, because when you get old, you need to set alarm clocks, a lot of them. And making that easy makes me feel good. So that's a positive one. And when you combine how it feels, the user experience, and what I make of it on a day-to-day basis in terms of its usage, I think it's a really good package, right? I am going to compare this to the only phone I have, which is the iPhone XS Max, which costs £1,200. Believe it or not, this phone costs £150, £200. This phone is 10% of the price. Is it 10% of the feel, 10% of the user experience, 10% of the ease of use? No. I mean, I'm really surprised at how good this phone really behaves. Like, what can you buy for £200 in the iOS ecosystem? Maybe a shitty mouse where you have to charge it at the bottom. It's the truth, which is why I don't use that mouse. But, you know, for the price, I think it's an incredible device. It does a lot of the things I want it to do, and a lot of normal people would want a phone to do. The battery life is incredible. It has USB-C, which means that, oh, I'm charging my MacBook. Oh, my phone's run out of battery. I can just charge it with the same cable. Great. Apple are not going to move from that, unfortunately. But yes, it has a lot of really incredible features that are not found on an iPhone, and sometimes those features are not needed, but something like USB-C, which I think is really vital, is there, and that's good. And there are so many things on this phone that make me feel good. Now, remember at the beginning I said that I don't like it when people tell you specs, right? There is one exception to it, which is the camera. Right? That's the only thing which I talk about, which others talk about too, but I think it's really important to talk about, because listen, if I wanted to take great, beautiful, professional photos, I would use my mirrorless camera, my full frame camera, my whatever camera, right? I wouldn't use my phone. Although you find a lot of people comparing phones to professional cameras, it's not a job that I expect this to do in terms of competition. What I expect this to do is to take photos when I want to take photos. I don't carry my camera around every single day. I carry my phone around every single day. So when I'm going across the field walking and I see something funny like a dog, a beautiful dog, or two people that I have never seen because, oh my God, it's a pandemic and I haven't seen many people, and I want to take a photo of them, I can do that. So a phone with a good camera is important for me. And this has 4 cameras, a £50 camera. It's great. It's got a 2x zoom. It's got a normal wide lens, an ultra wide lens, and a macro lens, which is debatably, I don't know why they've put it in there. Wouldn't use it. I don't use it. But the ultra wide camera is a life changer. For someone who has an iPhone XS, which doesn't have an ultra wide camera, wow, you get so much in the image. It's great. And all of the images are high enough quality for me to put it on this screen and for you to look at it and be like, ah, that looks fine. Remember, you only need 2 megapixels for you to print something out and put it on your poster behind your bed. And nobody's going to notice who took that, where you got it from. And this phone does a good job at taking everyday photos. Now you apply filters to it on Instagram, edit them a bit, and you can take them to the next level. It has a professional mode where you can decide what ISO levels you want, what aperture you want. I mean, there's only one aperture, but you know, you can decide the shutter speed, all of those things, and then take a photo how you want it. Would I recommend you do that? If you want, you'll get a good shot. I mean, you'll get a good shot regardless if you take an automatic shot or a manual shot. So cameras are really important on a phone, and this one doesn't disappoint for the price. And that's it. That is the Xiaomi 10T Lite 5G. This phone costs under £200, sometimes £150. It is built like a tank. It is. It has a great camera system. It does. And it does the job I want it to do. It opens apps when I want it to. It closes them when I want it to. It'll send messages for me. It'll open up my social media platforms. It'll open up YouTube. I can watch videos on it when I'm in the bathroom, you know, like most people are on the toilet and watching videos. This will do the job. What more do you want from a phone? For £200? I don't think you want any more. That's it from me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.